Ross Bolen Podcast.
You better listen.
Welcome back to the Ross Bolen Podcast, otherwise known as RBP, presented by Bolen Media. I am your host, Ross Bolen, back again as always with your co-host, Chris Coulson. Chris, what's good?
Hey man, just another day in the life. How you doing today?
Just freezing my tiny little nipples off, Christopher. It's truly cozy season now.
Yeah, nipples getting a little hard this morning?
Winter is no longer coming, as Ned Stark once said. It is here.
It is all over us.
Bundle up, folks. Mask on, head high. Power through these last days of 2020, the year of the comeback. Closing time. Make sure you tab out. We've got a great show today, chock full of fun for y'all, so let's dive into it. First thing is first, RBP 358 is brought to you by Cuts Clothing. For better or worse, 2020 has kicked off the work-from-home era, and everyone is asking one big question: what the hell are we supposed to wear? Do I really need to wear a tie for a Zoom meeting? Probably not, but sweatpants and your go-to gym tee don't feel right either. Cuts Clothing is the perfect solution to your work-from-home wardrobe confusion. It's the best in the world at making technical apparel for the sport of business. Their t-shirts are incredible. I have several of them. I wear them all the time now. You see them on Instagram. You see them on Twitch. Kohl's has some. I just got a couple of their... It's like the exact same material as their t-shirts, but it's a hoodie. It's like a very thin hoodie.
Yeah.
They're freaking awesome, especially in Texas, where it so often will start at like 40 degrees in the day, and then it's like 70 by the end of the day. Perfect. Incredible fit on all their stuff. It's very athletic cut, a very modern feel. They've completely changed the game. Cuts Clothing. Phenomenal. In 2016, for a little bit of their backstory, Stephen Borelli was struggling to find the perfect t-shirt. He wanted something that had enough quality to be worn professionally at work, yet also enough style for a night out. No matter where he looked, nothing fit the bill, so he took matters into his own hands, and the result was Cuts Clothing, a product you could be proud to wear anytime, anywhere, without sacrificing comfort. You could call it the Steve Jobs advantage. You don't have to worry about what you're going to pick out clothes for every morning. You just throw on a cut shirt, some pants, and get on with your day. You'll be ready for anything. It's the simple sophistication and versatility of a cut shirt that means you'll never again have to spend time thinking about what you should wear. That's why Cuts is the only shirt worth wearing, loved by your favorite athletes, entrepreneurs, and even podcast hosts. It seems like everyone is wearing Cuts these days. 15% off your first order by going to cutsclothing.com/RBP. That's CUTS clothing.com/RBP for 15% off. The only shirt worth wearing. Now some announcements and shouts. If you want to watch our episodes and not just listen, we're on youtube.com/Bolen Media, where every Monday, Wednesday podcast that you listen to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, etc. is also available, but with full video. So you can see Christopher and I's faces, our shining faces. But you can't see my eyes most of the time because I wear sunglasses because I'm weird like that. Also, if you would like a third ad-free episode of RBP every single week, there's a place you can get that. Patreon. Specifically, patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast, where Chris and I do a third additional ad-free premium exclusive episode every Friday. Every Friday on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. The idea is that we get you to come through, support the show, we circumvent the advertising industry, and get some financial support from our listenership directly.
Hey, do you think anybody that watches the show, maybe that's
ad-free episodes,
maybe that's new here or anything like that, thinks that you're blind?
Oh, it's possible.
Okay.
I've seen some theories floated, like
Sure.
the opposite of the Stevie Wonder theory.
Yeah.
You know how there's
you're
people who
actually
think
blind?
Stevie's not blind?
Yeah, he's not.
For me, it's that I'm actually blind.
No,
There's
it's
a lot
not
of people who think that's why I haven't been driving.
It's not a theory.
They think I went blind like 8 or 9 months ago.
No, I don't think you understand. Stevie Wonder's not blind.
Yeah, no, I
No,
get
no,
it
I'm just
that y'all are out there.
I'm just kidding. I don't
but
know.
there are a lot of
There's
people
some
who
weird
think I
souls.
went blind 8 or 9 months ago, and that's why I don't
You
drive.
haven't been driving? It would
Yeah.
make sense. That's why he brought me on. I've just been his eyes and ears. Well,
That's
not
why I
ears.
started
He still has
wearing
good
the
ears.
sunglasses.
Hey, since your blindness developed, have any superpowers come from any of your other senses? Like, can you, do you have superhuman hearing?
Yeah, I'm like
Sure.
Oppo COVID. I've got double the smell now.
Really?
Yeah, double the sense of smell.
Is
So, like when a baby takes a shit 2 houses over, I can smell it.
He knows. We walk into the neighborhood every morning, and he's like, yep, that house is cooking eggs. That house is,
I'm like,
they're having sex right
Hey,
now.
the 4-year-old 3 houses down had waffles for breakfast. That's where I'm
And
at
it's
now. I'm like
coming
a
out right
hound
now.
dog.
That's incredible. He can
Yeah.
smell what strains every dispensary has from 10 miles away.
Speaking of YouTube, this is an incredible jacket, coat, whatever this is. But I'm just over bundled. I feel like the kid in A Christmas Story
I was
when
actually
they wrap his ass up and send him to school and he's just out there like,
I was going to compliment your layering today.
I mean, I look good. I just
do.
don't. I feel good because I know I look good,
Yeah.
but then I also can't move my arms or shoulders.
Oh, you feel
I think it's
a little
also because
tight?
we worked out yesterday.
Oh yeah, arms are
This is all just coming off as an enormously douchey humble brag.
They're just huge, huh? Your cannons.
Look
they're
at
just
me,
exploding.
dressing well and living right.
Wow.
I'm awesome. Anyway, it's time. First segment.
Grab your light. This is Stop the Wikipedia when you're high.
Stop the Wikipedia when you're high.
Love that.
What a better way to start the day.
Oh, there isn't one.
That's what I'm saying.
There isn't one. Today's Stuff to Wikipedia when you're high is the zone of death.
Wow, lighthearted.
The zone of death. This is one we saw go viral on Twitter earlier this week or into last week. I'm not remembering. Doesn't really matter. The point is this. We were both shocked, as were many listeners who sent this link to us and this tweet to us and tagged us in it, that we had never heard of this or that we had never spoken on it before.
That this is not even that this is not common knowledge.
Right. It was so shocking that I even went to Google and typed in the Ross Bolen Podcast Zone of Death to make sure that we actually hadn't done this segment before and it wasn't just my lack of a long-term memory or short-term memory that perhaps would lead to me believing we had never spoken on this very subject. But the Zone of Death is the name given to the 50-square-mile Idaho section of the Yellowstone National Park in which, as a result of a purported loophole in the Constitution of the United States, a criminal could theoretically get away with any crime up to and including murder.
Is murder the max crime?
Hashtag murder.
Is there anything greater than murder?
I feel like there's levels to that shit.
Okay.
Like there are with all baby murders. It's one. That's the worst murder,
Sure,
right?
sure. It's just they said up to murder,
Right?
and implying that there's
is there
nothing
something worse than
than
murder?
murder, and I guess not.
And I don't think legally that there is.
No, I guess morally there's really not either. I guess.
Yeah, taking a human life,
That's kind of
murdering, I think is the furthest you can go away from the law.
yeah. From saving cats from trees. That's the good. That's the best thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And then murder is
And then there's murder.
yeah.
Yeah. The United States District Court for the District of Wyoming is currently the only United States District Court to have jurisdiction over parts of multiple states. This is due to the fact that its jurisdiction includes all of Yellowstone National Park, which extends slightly beyond Wyoming's boundaries into Idaho and Montana. In addition, the federal government has exclusive jurisdiction over the park, so crimes committed in the park cannot be prosecuted under any of the state's laws. Trials in the district court are normally held at the federal courthouse in Cheyenne, Wyoming. However, the Sixth Amendment to the United States Constitution decrees that juries in federal criminal cases must be made up of citizens who are from both the district and state where the crime was committed. Because of this, charges for a crime alleged to have been committed in the area of the park in Idaho would have to be tried before a jury consisting entirely of residents of that area, and the trial would also have to take place in that area. As the Idaho portion of the park has no courthouse and is uninhabited, no such jury could be assembled. Thus, the defendant would be unable to have a fair trial and could not receive legal punishment for any alleged crimes.
I love that it's not there's not a technical actual any crime that you commit here is going to be legal because there's no laws or something like that. It's we really just can't get people to come to jury. We can't get people to serve our jury.
Systematically, they failed this portion, this section of Yellowstone National Park where now technically you could just go do a whole mess of murdering.
Exactly, you could. Or me, personally, that's where I've decided I'm going to go start my egalitarian commune out there with no laws, Rajneeshi style. Probably without the Rolls Royces, but I'm definitely keeping the red uniforms because those are tight as hell.
What the hell is egalitarian?
For living for all.
Oh.
Yeah. But also first step though, definitely rebranding. Zone of Death doesn't really have the right ring to it.
Zone of Death.
If you're in on this, DM me at Q0ULS.
If you're trying to get down with this.
Yeah. I need about
the egalitarian socialist comrade society.
Well, first we have to start with I need builders, probably RBP construction gang.
Sure.
Hit me up first.
Sure.
Need those guys.
You're gonna
for
need
sure.
domiciles.
Absolutely gonna need domiciles. Gonna need plumbing.
Uninhabited area.
Gonna need solar panels. Have you ever been to Yellowstone?
You're gonna need. I have not. You're gonna need some folks with guns because this
100%.
shit is gonna get messy.
Yeah, 100%.
You're not gonna be the only psycho socialist trying to create a commune in the area. You know what I'm saying?
You think so?
I don't think you're gonna be the only one, man.
Well, I mean, if nobody's done it yet, I feel like I have a good head start on most people.
It went viral though, dude. you know there's going to be multiple cults trying to stake a claim.
Did you read the thing that it talked about the guy that wrote the book in 2005 or whatever?
Guess what, Chris? We're about to.
Hit me.
The constitutional loophole in this area was discovered by Michigan State University law professor Brian C. Kalt while he was planning to write an essay about technicalities of the Sixth Amendment, which entitles citizens to a fair and quick trial.
He was probably like, holy eureka, baby.
Yeah, Kalt wondered about a hypothetical place where there were not enough eligible citizens to form a jury and theorized that there could be no trial and therefore no punishment for major crimes in that area. He later realized that there was such a place, the Idaho section of Yellowstone National Park. Horrified by his realization, Kalt shifted his focus to writing an essay about the area to persuade the government to fix the loophole. The essay, which was called The Perfect Crime, was published in 2005 in the Georgetown Law Journal. Kalt feared that criminals might read the essay and commit a crime in the zone before the loophole was fixed. No known felonies have been committed in the zone of death since he wrote his essay, made his discovery. However, a poacher named Michael Belderain illegally shot an elk in the Montana section of Yellowstone.
Unbelievable.
While that section of the park does have enough residents to form a jury, it might be difficult to put together a standing and fair one due to travel or unwillingness of members of the small population there to serve. A federal judge ruled that Belderain could be tried in the U.S. District Court for the District of Wyoming despite the Sixth Amendment problem. Belderain cited Kalt's paper, The Perfect Crime, to explain why he believed it was illegal to have his trial with a jury from a state other than where the crime was committed, and the court dismissed this argument. Belderain took a plea deal conditioned on him not appealing the zone of death issue to the 10th Circuit, and the issue was left unresolved. So in that particular case, he came out of it having to face punishment, making a plea deal, but the larger issue of the zone of death that exists remains unresolved.
And technically, this was in like a half zone of death in Montana, not the
half
full on,
not the full zone of death. So he was in the one where they could technically form a jury.
I love how the dude that wrote the paper was really concerned about a bunch of people committing crimes in that area. If there's not enough people there to even put a jury together, like what crimes are they going to commit? Like a criminal's going to go out there
crazy,
just to
man.
get somebody, just to get. All right, so let me tell you guys something.
Like the
if
Manson
somebody
family,
asks
they
you,
took over that damn ranch.
If somebody asks you, hey guys, I'm thinking about taking y'all to this like really cool part of Yellowstone. It's in Idaho. We can camp there for a couple days.
Beautiful.
Like,
There's
don't
no
look it up or
rules.
anything.
There's no rules. Don't look it up,
no
though.
rules. It's gonna be a great time. Nobody's really gonna go bother us. Don't fucking go.
Don't
fucking go.
It's totally not called the zone of death.
I'm not gonna go out there and murder you or anything like that.
Like, you might as well have named it, like, the zone of potential murder, the zone of horrific crimes. The zone of
horrific
The zone
crimes?
of death just makes it, because, like, it's not like you go there and you die.
Yeah, nah.
You could just go there and do murder.
Yeah. Or you could go there and like commit tax fraud, other cool crimes like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Can we technically establish any kind of business we wanted in the... See, so now I'm saying it could be called the zone of free business.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
It's like a tax haven, basically. It's like our own little Cayman Islands right inside the U.S.
What can we not sell here that we could sell in the zone of death?
Crack.
Let's do it. Let's become crack dealers.
I think we could open up the first crack dispo.
Look, this way, when eventually a community does form in the zone of death, we are already there to destroy it.
That's very true. Just like
From
the CIA.
inside.
Implementing crack into the cities in the 60s
Just like
or
Reagan
something like
did
that.
in
I don't
the
know.
80s,
Yeah, sure.
according to some people.
But according to the peoples and the internets and the interwebs. What I was gonna say about Yellowstone, the reason I asked you if you had ever been there,
Yeah.
it's one of those places that when you're out there, you're like, yo, you could like get somebody real quick and nobody is ever gonna find it.
Yeah.
Like it is so vast,
Dude,
and
even
dark.
So, like the
there's
trail we have around, what's it called?
the Greenbelt. Is that what you're talking about?
Nah. Lady Bird Lake. The trail
Okay,
around
sure,
Lady
sure,
Bird
Sure.
is in the center of the city
Yep.
with massive, big ass buildings that look down on it from every direction.
Mhm.
When you run that bitch at night, you're like, oh, I got about a 50% chance of being stabbed here.
Yeah.
Like you just feel it. You're like, well, nobody can see dick. There's trees covering everything. Like if I was gonna do murder, this is exactly where I would do it. Actually, routinely people have been attacked there. Like once a year, basically, give or take,
It's like a big
allegedly.
deal.
I don't know if there's like the city of Austin could sue me for being wrong about this stat. Allegedly, every once in a while I'll see a story about somebody getting attacked by a homeless person there or whatever. And that's in the middle of the city. Like, dude, places like Yellowstone, like, yeah, that's like the number one thing. I don't go out there and fear the animals.
Nah.
I'm not in my tent at night like, man, I really hope a bear doesn't come get me. Like, that's unrealistic. This isn't Almost Fucking Heroes. Well, I'm not going to post up in a bear area. And I'm going to have the stuff that gets the bears away. I'm going to tinkle around my tent or whatever so that the bear smells it and goes away.
You're going to draw the bear circle, SpongeBob
With
style?
my tinkle, though.
To keep the sea bears out?
To keep Yogi Bear and Boo Boo specifically out because they're coming for my picnic basket.
I think that's. Where did you? I think the pee around the tent thing is actually a great idea. Let's go out to Yellowstone, give that a try. We'll see what happens.
And some witchcraft. I've got anti-bear witchcraft, Coles.
I think that's the plot of the Blair Witch Project.
That was the whole thing. It was they're trying to stop Yogi and Boo Boo from their picnic basket thievery.
By tinkling around their tents. Their tent tinkles.
Hey, Boo Boo, let's go get a picnic basket. Did you ever watch Yogi Bear?
I mean, I've seen episodes of it and stuff like that, but it was never a common show. It was like one of those things that it was always on Boomerang, which is Cartoon Network's throwback cartoon
See,
channel.
when I was a little kid, it was already kind of older. So, like, by the time you were a little kid, them shits were on, like, Nick at Night or something, probably.
Boomerang was like the throwback cart. That's where the Flintstones were, the Jetsons, Yogi Bear, like all the throwback old cartoons were all on Boomerang. So you'd watch your new cartoons in the morning, and then you would always get the ads for Boomerang. You could watch those like late at night or something like that.
I've been watching a lot of Curious George.
Really?
Recently with the baby.
I used to love
I was a big Curious George guy, right?
George.
So, like, as an adult, you kind of look at the man in the yellow hat in a different light.
Sure.
Because you're like,
He's
first
like an
off, first
old-ass
question, dude, why
do you have a
fuck
monkey?
are you wearing all yellow?
Okay, good point.
The least weird thing about the man in the yellow hat is that he owns Curious George.
Okay.
Why the fuck are you wearing all yellow and a yellow hat? You look ridiculous.
Doesn't he live in
Second,
the city?
how
too?
do you own multiple incredible properties? Yeah, like one's in Manhattan and one's in the country. What do you do for a living, man? Are you the Tiger King of Monkey King? Like, what is happening here? And then that's it. That's the end of my really there's just a lot of questionable shit about him.
Sure.
Now this is making me want to watch Yogi Bear and see like what I think about Ranger Rick as an adult.
Yeah,
was Ranger Rick doing skeptical shit?
Yeah, the last video essay I watched on YouTube was actually the dark side of Curious George about how the man in the yellow hat made all of his money in the exotic animal trade, black market style, just slaughtering tigers and selling their meat. It was really terrifying.
This man's out there in an all Gavinci yellow suit with a fucking yellow hat, and nobody's asking questions. He's got a pet monkey on top of the yellow, and nobody's asking questions.
And we're giving this to our children?
He goes by the man in the yellow hat. He doesn't even have a name. He's clearly a Russian agent. Clearly.
Yeah?
What I'm saying is the man in the yellow hat needs to go down.
It's
potentially Ranger Rick as well. Anyway, that was your stuff to Wikipedia when you're high for today. The Zone of Death, where Coles and I will be taking the man in the yellow hat to execute him so that we cannot be tried.
We'll take care of George, though.
RBP 358 is also brought to you by Quip, makers of the greatest toothbrush and oral care products in all the land, and longtime supporter of this podcast. You know Quip, the electric toothbrush you hear about all the time. You've heard me talk about him for years. I've been using it for years. It is awesome. My favorite feature being the built-in timer that buzzes every 30 seconds to make sure you get a full and even clean so that when you're done brushing your teeth, you feel like you've just left the dentist. But it's their sleek, reusable floss picks you'll want to use next. Take the next step. For those of you who have been utilizing Quip for quite a while, it's time to make the jump to floss. Many of you don't floss at all because it's a pain in the ass. Well, Quip has fixed that. The durable handle is easy to guide. You restring the floss thing with just one click. It comes with a compact mirrored dispensing case for on-the-go flossing, plus a single refill pod replaces over 180 single-use plastic flossers, so it's better for your teeth and the environment. If you're not a pick person, Quip also has a refillable floss string that expands to clean. You can pair your floss with the perfect electric toothbrush. They've got it for adults. They've got it for kids. Quip has the simple guiding features you need, like the timed sonic vibrations with guiding pulses to help you brush better. You can personalize your brushing routine with over 9 premium brush colors, plus anti-cavity toothpaste for every taste in mint and watermelon. Great flavors. Quip also delivers brush heads, floss, and toothpaste refills every 3 months for just $5, from just $5. Shipping is free, so you can save money and skip the store. Bring delight to your everyday brushing and join the over 5 million mouths brushing with Quip starting at $25. And if you go to getquip.com/RBP right now, you'll get your first refill from Quip for free. That's your first refill free, Coles, free. You pay $0.00 for your first refill at Quip, getquip.com/RBP. GETQUIP.com/RBP. Quip, better oral health made simple. Next segment. Woman on Fire. All right, we almost talked about this on our first episode of the week, but we ended up not having time. So today we're going to take the time and talk about it because it's one of the more insane stories I've read in 2020, if not ever, period. We have named the segment Woman on Fire, and you will find out why, but we're going to get into some of this information that was provided by this incredible story in the New York Times this week. Here's your headline. She stalked her daughter's killers in Mexico, one by one. And then your subheader. Armed with a handgun, a fake ID card, and disguises, Miriam Rodriguez was a one-woman detective squad defying a system where criminal impunity often prevails. So this is a story about Miriam Rodriguez. It was written by Azam Ahmed in the New York Times. And again, the headline is she stalked her daughter's killers in Mexico one by one. You can read the full story on the New York Times. Google it, pull it up, whatever, widely available and redistributed. We're going to read a part of it here, Coles, and then discuss. Yeah. And if people want to read the full thing, obviously, I recommend they go and do that.
Absolutely. First of all, let me just say that sounds like a literal movie synopsis.
Yeah, we named the segment Woman on Fire because of the Denzel Washington movie Man on Fire, which is one of my favorites. It's funny, when I brought it up yesterday, Coles is like, oh, yeah, I think I know that one. And then he was like, wait a minute, no, I'm thinking of the
Equalizer.
The Equalizer.
Which turns out
which they made
pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah, he did like 4 or 5 movies. It's not that they're the exact same movie. It's that they all have the exact same vibe.
Yes.
And the trailers were all the same vibe. And like they get mixed up in my head too. This is the only one at this point that stands out because Man on Fire is legitimately like in my top 25.
And that was like the OG, I believe. They were one of the first ones
was
he
for
did
me.
like that.
I'm not positive on the order. Okay. I don't want to say it came out before the Equalizer and be wrong.
It definitely came out before the Equalizer. The Equalizer first came out in like 2017. I think the second one came out in like...
Oh, for real?
Yeah. The Equalizer was more recent, like much. Unless
for some reason, I thought that was earlier.
Unless there was like an OG Equalizer.
I think there was.
Okay, there might have been. Yeah, this might have been. Okay.
But Man on Fire is one of my favorite movies ever, and it's a movie about Denzel Washington. I'll just give you a general synopsis. He's a washed-up bodyguard, okay? An ex-military washed-up bodyguard who's a very struggling alcoholic. He has a serious drinking problem. He's depressed. He's clearly struggling with depression and alcoholism. His life is a mess, and he gets this job to be a bodyguard for this little girl in Mexico. Mm-hmm. Long story short, things don't go well, and Denzel ends up having to kill most of the Mexican citizens. And he does, and it's fucking amazing.
I definitely have seen this, actually.
And he just goes completely ham. In Mexico.
Is there a scene that involves him on a bridge?
Dude, at one point...
Where he has to, like, one-man army?
Yeah. Well, no, but you're remembering a scene from a bridge. Okay. I'm not going to say anything else. There's also a famous scene where he places a tiny explosive charge up a gentleman's beehole, his 2-hole, the 2-slot, from the behind, you see, from the back. He has him strapped to a car and bent over it, and he causes him to be unconscious. And when he wakes the gentleman up, he tells him he has an explosive charge in his 2-hole and that he's going to need to tell him everything he knows about this particular thing he's investigating in the film, or he's going to die.
Like The Boys, Translucent style.
Yeah. Or, like pretty much exactly like that.
I heard...
and then he says, I wish you had more time. And that dude explodes. Spoiler alert.
I heard
he blows this dude up with a butthole bomb.
I heard that's a new Call of Duty finishing move. When you go assassinate somebody, you just shove an explosive up their ass.
Some really fucked up finishing moves. Like, I'll kill a guy will kill me and a crow will come peck out my eyes or whatever. Oh, that's Apex Legends that I'm thinking of.
No, you're thinking about Call of Duty.
Oh,
there is one where a crow will come peck out your eyes.
All these video games are just sick. And we wonder why the kids are the way they are. Let's get back to this story.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to read some of it for y'all. Miriam Rodriguez, again, by Azam Ahmed, Miriam Rodriguez clutched a pistol in her purse as she ran past the morning crowds on the bridge to Texas. She stopped every few minutes to catch her breath and study the photo of her next target, the florist. Already, everyone listening is like, make the movie.
Yep.
She had been hunting him for a year, stalking him online, interrogating the criminals he worked with, even befriending unwitting relatives for tips on his whereabouts. Now she finally had one. A widow called her to tell her that he was peddling flowers on the border. Ever since 2014, she had been tracking the people responsible for the kidnapping and murder of her 20-year-old daughter, Karen. Not the name I expected. Half of them were already in prison, not because the authorities had cracked the case, but because she had pursued them on her own with meticulous abandon. That's how I do everything, by the way, with meticulous abandon. She cut her hair, dyed it, and disguised herself as a pollster, a health worker, and an election official to get their names and addresses. She invented excuses to meet their families, unsuspecting grandmothers and cousins who gave her details, however small. She wrote everything down and stuffed it into her black computer bag, building her investigation and tracking them down one by one. She knew their habits, friends, hometowns, childhoods. She knew the florist had sold flowers on the street before joining the Zeta cartel and getting involved in her daughter's kidnapping. Now he was on the run and back to what he knew, selling roses to make ends meet. Without showering, she threw on a trench coat over her pajamas, a baseball cap over her fire engine red hair, which makes her even more badass.
Honestly.
And a gun in her purse, heading for the border to find the florist. On the bridge, she scoured the vendors for flower carts, but that day he was selling sunglasses instead. When she finally found him, she got too excited and too close. He recognized her and ran. He sprinted along the narrow pedestrian paths, hoping to get away. Mrs. Rodriguez, 56 at the time, grabbed him by the shirt and wrestled him to the rails. She jammed her handgun into his back. "If you move, I'll shoot you," she told him, according to family members involved in her scramble to capture the florist that day. She held him there for nearly an hour, awaiting the police to make the arrest. In 3 years, Mrs. Rodriguez captured nearly every living member of the crew that had abducted her daughter for ransom. A rogues gallery of criminals who tried to start new lives as a born-again Christian, a taxi driver, a car salesman, a babysitter. In all, she was instrumental in taking down 10 people, a mad campaign for justice that made her famous but vulnerable. No one challenged organized crime, never mind put its members in prison. She asked the government for armed guards, fearing the cartel had finally had enough. On Mother's Day, 2017, weeks after she had chased down one of her last targets, she was shot in front of her home and killed. Her husband, inside watching television, found her face down on the street, hand tucked inside her purse, next to her pistol. And this story proceeds to be much longer, get into a lot of the issues that Mexico has with the cartel, with its legal system, with its justice system. But the particular story of Miriam Rodriguez is one of the craziest things I've ever heard, because it's something you don't hear about often.
No.
There are particular organizations in this world that you don't hear about people going after. There are two that stand out in my head in particular. It's basically I don't even know. I don't want to throw a specific terrorism, and then this shit, the cartel. You don't fuck with the cartel. You know why? Because everybody has seen footage of headless people swinging from bridges and shit in Mexico City because of the car, and all along the border. People in Texas. We know you don't fuck with the cartel. You maybe buy some of their weed when you're in Cabo, and that's it. And you don't tell anybody because it's weird. Unless you're me and you talk about it on the show, which in hindsight was a mistake.
Yeah, well,
but
you know.
You don't fuck with the cartel, dude. There was a point in Texas where you used to just be able to go down to Mexico. People would do it all the time. Families drive down across the Mexican border, hit the fucking flea markets, buy shit, come back. Weird white people stuff. You can't do that anymore. One time when I was a little kid and we went down there, I've told this story on the show. We went inside one store for an hour and we came back out and the fucking car was gone. The Suburban had been stolen. You know who stole it? The police. They told us that the cops stole any SUV that they found from America and got the opportunity to, and they just stripped the plates and utilized them as police vehicles.
Are you
So the guy
serious?
that owned the shop was like, "Yeah, sorry, you're not getting that one back." And we were like, the whole day worth of shit we bought shopping in this fucking hellhole is now gone in that car. Now just some cop has it.
Wait, so what?
I had a machete in there, Chris.
What did you tell the rental car company or whatever?
It wasn't a rental.
It was y'all's car?
No, it was my buddy Jordan's mom's car. We drove down from their ranch to Mexico, and the car got stolen. And we had to get a ride back across the border and then get picked up on the other side. I shit you not.
By who? The police?
No, some random Mexican citizen was like, "Sorry, our fucking country is crazy, man. The cops stealing the cars. We'll take you back across." And we were like, "Thanks, appreciate it."
Did you?
So
have
we
to
didn't
pay?
get any of the stuff we bought. The painting, the machete,
No,
all
dude,
of it
you got
was gone.
got. This is what happens. They
Yeah, we
just
got
have a
got
guy
hard.
they have a guy that stands outside of the store to let the stupid Americans know when they come back out, like, "Hey, yeah, the cops stole your car, but hey, if you pay me $50, I'll give you a ride back across the border." Then you give him $50.
No,
It's just
no, we
cyclical.
didn't pay anybody. Just-
Sure you didn't. Sure you didn't.
I was like 12 years
I'm
old.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But no, this was not like the store owner set us up. This was literally like the police in Mexico are that corrupt that they were
Yeah.
jacking SUVs. Regardless, the point is the SUV got stolen. Mexico notoriously has had issues with the cartel, keeping them under control, keeping them from gaining political power. And then any type of justice in regard to the crimes that they commit has been difficult to come by. So Miriam Rodriguez sought some out herself and had quite a freaking bit of success, like full Denzel Washington levels of success, chasing dudes down one by one, assuming disguises, like utilizing their family members to find locations. That's literally the entire plot of Man on Fire. She did this in real life.
Imagine getting got by like your Meemaw.
No shit, dude. She was 56 years old.
No, I'm saying, like, imagine, like, she's going up to your Meemaw to ask for information about where you are.
And your Meemaw just rats you out?
Yeah, like,
'cause
trying
she
to
doesn't know any better?
Yeah, she's bragging about how proud she is of her grandson and then tells you that he's now a florist in South Texas, and all of a sudden he's behind bars 2 weeks later.
The Florist, which reminds me of The Town, which is a really good movie.
Great movie.
With just the worst people in its cast.
As in, like, the actors or the people
Jeremy
in
Renner's
the movie?
in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck's also maybe a piece of shit. I can't tell. Sometimes I'm like, this guy seems nice, and sometimes I'm like, oh, you fuck. You may suck.
For the most part, I seem to like Ben Affleck. I mean, he's struggled with a lot of, like, alcoholism stuff, right?
Yeah, he's had some substance abuse issues. I can't remember if, like, I don't like speaking on celebrities'
Absolutely.
personal shit because you never know, man. We'll get to that in a minute, actually. That's one of the next things we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so if you want to read the rest of that New York Times article, go do it, about Miriam Rodriguez by Azam Ahmed. It's titled, She Stalked Her Daughter's Killers in Mexico One by One. Again, it's widely published. You can find it all over the place. Read it on the New York Times website. Pay them, support them, do whatever all the upstanding journalistic integrity stuff you're supposed to do. And we will move on from there. RBP 358 is also brought to you by one of our newest sponsors, NuCalm. Stress, sleep, recovery, whether we're in the gym or at work, these things shape how we perform. I am never even close to my potential productivity without good sleep and enough sleep. I'm way more sharp when Coles and I are hitting RossFit on schedule. So, like, on the physical side of things, it's not that difficult for me to keep my shit where I need it. Mentally, I've needed more tools. So one thing I've added to my daily routine this year, and it's helped make a noticeable difference for me, is NuCalm. It's stress relief for the way we live today. Technology to help you disconnect. It's an all-natural, comprehensive 3-part system, which is administered in seconds and takes effect in minutes. The benefits will last hours, so you can own the day. You slap on the NuCalm biosignal processing disc on your wrist, open the NuCalm mobile app on your phone, you connect your headphones, your earbuds, you start your NuCalm session in the app, pull down your NuCalm eye mask, sit back, relax, and enjoy your NuCalm journey. It's imperative to your health and happiness to be able to manage stress and not be managed by it. And NuCalm gives you the power and control to relax and recharge anywhere, anytime. You can own the day. It's the only stress management system of its kind, clinically proven in over 1 million sessions to improve your sleep, reduce your stress, and boost your recovery without drugs, without side effects. The NuCalm system uses cutting-edge neuroscience and consists of those 3 non-invasive and non-pharmaceutical items, all of which are included in your monthly subscription that costs less than a daily cup of coffee. The whole process, easy to use and to work into your daily routine to achieve better sleep, reduction in stress, and boost in recovery. I've honestly gotten this for 2 people already for Christmas presents this year, and I have it for myself. Do what I did, own the day with NuCalm. We have a special link set up specifically for the RBP gang. Go to rossnucalm.com, RossNuCalm, rossnucalm.com, and you'll get 50% off your 30-day subscription of NuCalm and their money-back guarantee. That's rossnucalm.com, rossnucalm.com, rossnucalm.com. 50% off your 30-day subscription of NuCalm and their money-back guarantee. Next segment, Howard Stern hazing. So Christopher, Howard Stern is somebody you and I have discussed before. He's one of the legendary shock jocks of the world. This is a guy that's been one of the more famous people on the planet pretty much my entire life. He's one of the more wealthy members of the media that you don't necessarily hear about, as more if you're Gen Z. You hear about Rogan, you don't hear about Stern. Stern is like the OG Rogan. He made hundreds of millions of dollars before Rogan's Spotify deal was even a fucking blink in the eye of some random executive at Spotify.
Well, from what I can tell, like, I did not grow up on Howard Stern or anything like that. He's just probably slightly removed from my generation, I would say.
I mean, he was almost removed from me.
Sure.
And I'm at me being 33 now. So, like, he was like, I feel like dudes 5 years older than me, you know, maybe they were listening to some Stern here and there, but it wasn't so much my age group. We knew of him. We knew of his antics. We all caught his show on late night television and saw him making Pamela Anderson ride a Sibian and shit like that. Like, that's how we knew Howard Stern. He was like the nasty radio guy that we were too young to play with, but we knew was crushing it because he was constantly fucking everywhere. He put out movies and shit like.
And I saw that he was crushing it on like Sirius XM in like 2006, which was like
one of the
first
guys
that's what I was
to
going
get
to say.
Huge multi-$100 million deals from Sirius,
which was like kind of, I would say Sirius was kind of the predecessor to podcasting in a sense, where it was more like exclusive, paid for, high quality, like blocked out, timed content.
Yeah. And without advertisers.
Without advertisers, because you're paying for this service.
Or and like, I don't know. I've never had Sirius. I don't think they have ads though.
They don't
pay
have
for
ads.
the service.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They don't have ads.
Guess who gets Sirius for like 30 days or some shit in his new car when he gets it?
You?
This guy.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm living in 2020 with you fuckers now.
Do you know Sirius is hurting so bad? If you like continuously, like every single month that it renews, like you call them and threaten to leave, to cancel, they'll keep cutting. No, they'll keep cutting the price every single month. My dad.
This is like the cable company.
My dad, after like a year, he started off paying like $12.99 a month for Sirius. After a year, he was paying 98 cents a month.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's tight.
Yeah, exactly.
Work that system.
Yeah, exactly. He like bargained them all the way down because if you like, they're hurting so bad, they just need people to listen to the shows, man.
All right, so Stern is in the news this morning for some controversy revolving around reports of his treatment of employees. Chris, do you want to kind of give us the rundown here?
Yeah, so former employees of Howard Stern, kind of similar to what was going on with the Ellen DeGeneres situation within the last couple weeks as well. They're starting to speak out about what it was like working for the shock jock. So the story starts with a former Stern employee, Scott Salem. And this is from Fox News, by the way.
Okay.
They allege that Scott, a longtime employee of the Howard Stern Show, had asked his bosses in 2018 to start a GoFundMe page for his wife, who was battling cancer at the time.
Okay.
So he's been working there for about 33 years. His wife starts battling cancer, and obviously, in the society we live in, it's very expensive with medical bills to battle cancer. Especially depending on the severity of the cancer, where you're located, and what type of specified resources you need. And, you know, working for somebody in the mainstream influence, obviously, if you can have a little help there, it's not a bad thing to reach out and ask for that type of help, you know?
For sure.
So Stern's CEO allegedly allowed the fundraising page to go up, but told Salem that he couldn't use Stern's name or the name of the show in the fundraiser. Basically saying, like, you can do this, but you got to do this on your own.
Now, let me stop you here for a sec and tell you about a piece of this that I immediately call out as, like, I understand.
Sure.
When I worked at the former company I used to work at, Grand X, where we had several million social media followers, we got hit up every single day, several times a day, by kids asking us, yo, my buddy at this school needs this GoFundMe, like, had this thing happen or this family. So, like, you have to be careful with how you utilize your platform for the sake of charity, because it really does become awkward. And here's the thing for Stern. The part about this that sounds awful is that this guy worked for him for 33 years.
Yeah.
For me, that's a no-brainer. Like, you help the dude however you can. But it's an awkward position because, look, if you help that guy, I don't know how many employees Stern had at this point, but I'm guessing several.
Well, I'm guessing more.
Many people.
Yeah.
And if then somebody, it's like, look, I don't want to be a dick, but this is the world. If everybody gets cancer, is he going to do this for every employee?
Sure.
So it just becomes this weird place where, especially when you're Howard Stern and he's been in the game for as long as he has been, and frankly has made as much money as he has, it's probably pretty difficult for him to manage his empathy for people when it comes to shit like this. And I'm not defending his actions here,
but
so much as trying to explain where I think some of the disconnect is for the public, because you don't think about this, but he's getting requests like this a lot. Anybody in media, every single celebrity I follow on Twitter, constantly being barraged with requests for help. Can you retweet this to try to help find my aunt who's missing in this city? Could you give some money here to help my grandma who can't pay for her like bills or whatever? And like, you'll see some celebrities retweet these people, help them out routinely. Shea Serrano, working at The Ringer, is one of my favorites, who I routinely see giving money away on Twitter to people, trying to help people out. But this is all day, every day for celebrities, all right? And for big media, it's all day, every day. For guys with huge outlets, we get them a lot. Like, we get a lot of requests from people like,
Sure.
my friend needs help with this or that. And like, look, I want to do as much for as many people as I can, but we have to pick and choose our spots based on what strategically makes sense for us as a company too. Because we can't just spend all day, every day helping people, or we won't make any money and the company won't exist, and then nobody's here to help the people. So from that perspective, you have to just try to at least see it through Howard Stern's eyes. It could sound way worse than it actually is what I mean. Continue, Coles.
Absolutely. So regardless, Salem starts this GoFundMe for his wife on his own, not abiding by the outline that the CEO set for him and not using the name of the show.
Doesn't promote it through the outlets.
Exactly.
Just has the
on his own.
GoFundMe. It's his own thing. He's able to raise a bunch of money.
He raises $73,000 to help pay medical expenses, but Stern was reportedly upset over some pressure that he was receiving from people to contribute to the GoFundMe page.
Okay, so now here's the thing. Like, that literally could have been somebody going into his office one day and being like, Howard, we're doing money for whatever his name is, GoFundMe. Can you pitch in? And like, I don't know, bro. That's a stressful life this man lives. Maybe he just found out some awful fucking shit and was in a terrible mood or something. It could be that this is a former employee who now hates Howard, who's trying to smear him.
Definitely
and maybe he
could be.
wasn't a dick. Maybe he was like, look, I don't think it's I don't know where the line is, and I don't know how I can contribute to that, and then in fairness, not contribute to every single campaign that springs up in terms of their company. I don't know. But there's not enough detail in that circumstance for me to sit there and be like, oh, Howard's a piece of shit.
Sure.
Like, it's so circumstantial. It's
Absolutely.
so word of mouth. You don't even name your source.
And it's all allegedly.
And this is the kind of thing that even with Ellen, and I realize there were a lot of different kind of accusations, and more in Ellen's case, I feel like it was her lack of taking care of the issues that were arising around her company and through other people in leadership in the Ellen DeGeneres show with the sexual harassment and the racism and the toxic work environment. Like, I never read enough about Ellen specifically that made me think like, oh, Ellen's a total piece of shit. But she clearly turned a blind eye to or was negligent in her management of her entire place, and it led to some really fucked up stuff. But it's just, we as Americans are obsessed with judging celebrities and judging these headlines that we see about them without really giving much thought to what those circumstances might mean. And with the Howard Stern thing in particular this morning, and I'm going to let you continue to tell the rest of it because it gets even more ridiculous to me, I was just like, yo, this is very, like, before I care at all about this, I'm going to need to hear a dude's side of the story.
Absolutely.
Like, for each of these circumstances. So give us another one.
Yeah, absolutely. So following that, the serious sources told the Post that Salem was then moved to another floor, axed from appearing on air.
Oh.
And then Stern, who's 66, allegedly didn't interact with Salem again. And then when Salem's wife, Robin, died in 2018, he allegedly sent his condolences via email. Again, to a 33-year employee
Yes. Now,
after being moved to another floor. And so this is where
here's
things,
another
to
thing
me,
I'll say, though. It looks even worse, right?
doesn't look great.
Yeah, but
And
I'll
again-
also say this, man. As a dude who now owns a company and runs a company, like, I can guarantee you at some point you and I are going to employ somebody we don't fucking like.
Sure,
It's going to happen.
sure.
Just because he worked there for 33 years doesn't mean these dudes
That's
ever
actually a
got
great
along.
point, yeah.
Now, would you rather have him not employed this gentleman at all? Because now we're getting to, like, that's where my question, it's just like,
Well, and if
I
this
don't
guy-
know the circumstances. Maybe this guy was a dickhead.
Yeah, and if
I
this-
don't know.
If this guy was like had some sense of entitlement where he was like, "Hey, why? Like, I don't understand. Why are you not giving to me and my wife and my GoFundMe
And
and like
look,
harassing him about it?"
On their
I don't know.
personalities, creatives, people that have a ton of success in media, they tend to be very ego-driven
Sure.
for the most part. Like, people get caught up in the fame and the celebrity of all this crap, and then it gets really weird between people working within these shows and organizations. I've seen it happen. So, I'm like, I don't know. Like, it sounds bad. Yes. It sounds bad that he sent him a condolences email when his wife died of cancer. Like, frankly, I'd rather you not send me fucking anything, Howard, than an email saying, I heard your wife died, I'm sorry. Just stay out of my life if you don't want to be in it. But it's just like, I'm just like, yo, I don't like smears. I don't like things that look just like they're just attempting to smear people.
Yeah.
Like, you're just attempting to make somebody look like, if give me the story, man. Like, what the fuck? This quote's fucked up, though. This has really bothered me. It's really sad. His wife ends up dying. Howard doesn't even go downstairs and offer Scott his condolences. An on-air personality, stuttering John Melendez, who worked with Stern from 1988 to 2004, told Page Six, everyone falls from grace with Howard. Now, maybe he is a super difficult dude to work with. But again, that's a choice.
And when you're at that level of success for that long, you kind of have to know what works for you. And when things aren't working, it's difficult. You know, you let them go. You know what I mean? When you're riding when you ride that wave of success for that long, you kind of have to be a dick sometimes just to be like, hey, I know that this is going to work for me. And like, if something doesn't fit that, you got to cut it out.
This is my favorite part. Artie Lang reportedly tweeted in 2018.
Okay, wait, before you read this, I literally thought that you went in and changed my notes to a quote that you created.
No.
Because this is something that you would create like as parody.
Yeah. He said tweeted in 2018, Artie Lang, the dude who lost his nose from too much cocaine. For the record, Scott never badmouthed Howard to me. Prob because he's afraid and classy. But I'm unafraid and classless, so I say, shame on you, Howard. Ask yourself why all your ex-loyal servants hate you. Just sad. Yeah, so now we've gotten to the source, Artie Lang, and I'm out on the whole fucking story. Like, if that's one of the people you went to for a quote, the dude whose nose collapsed because he couldn't stop snorting things, I'm out. A show insider said Stern is, quote, worse than Ellen, end quote, while another said employees are told, quote, not to look at him, end quote, at work. Yeah, like, so? Maybe he doesn't like you motherfuckers. Do you still want to get paid? It's your job. Quit if you don't like it. I don't get that. Like this, I get that are people who are dicks. I've worked for a dick. Like, but I stayed for the money and the opportunity, and I knew what I was building toward, right? Like, yo, don't go work for one of the most, if not the most successful radio personality in the history of the medium.
Yep.
And what did you like? I don't know. I just kind of assumed dude was an asshole my whole life. Like, his whole shtick was literally like exploiting women sexually for the entertainment of his male audience for the most part. That was a lot of the show, dude. I realize Howard is seen by a lot of people as a progressive, groundbreaking guy, and he is in many, many ways. But there was also a lot of his show that I was like, I'm fucking 14, and this is weird. And pornographic and strange doesn't really make sense. Coles, it'd be like if we were just like, all right, today our guest is Susan Salangen from OnlyFans. Bring Susan in here. And then Susan sat down and we were like, your titties, are they real? This was Howard's show. How'd you get your tits done? Where'd you get them done? Tell us about your lips. How long will you give a man a blowjob? What's the biggest dick you'll suck? Here's a Sybian. Sit on it, and we're going to watch you moan and ride it. Like, a Sybian is a vibrating fake stool. That was the show. So, like, if you thought this dude was just the fucking Mr. Rogers of radio, like, patting people on the back and dancing down the hallway like shooting sunflowers out of his ass, you're a fucking idiot. This is the best quote in the whole thing, though. Melendez added, the hallway had to be cleared out before he walks down. Bro, the hallway has to be cleared out before I walk down it, too. That's how hallways work. What? If I work at a company and I go into the hall and the hall's filled with shit, guess who's yelling at the company? Hey, assholes, come clean up the fucking hallway. We work here. We're adults. What is it? You know what it sounds like? It sounds like he employed a bunch of pussies. Yeah, and that they all got fed up with him being like, well, bro, also, like what a fucking cow. What did you... The hallway had to be cleared out before he walked down it? And also, what did you want him to do? Fucking float over the debris, you messy shit?
If you're that large of a celebrity, do you think you would want all of your employees just staring at you all day?
Bro, if I make $200 million to talk into a microphone, nobody's allowed to look me in the eye ever again. I won't even look myself in the eye.
Yeah, and mirrors are gone.
Yeah, no more mirrors.
Then you're actually going blind. You just in your sight. At that point, it's over. You don't need it anymore.
I will literally rip my eyeballs out of my head.
We'll just plug you in Wall-E style into your little chair with a microphone in front of you for the rest of your life, and that's it. That's Ross Bolen forever and ever. Amen.
Producer Myrriah said, I think this means he didn't want people in the hall before he would walk down it. I still love that.
Oh, no, that's most definitely. I was just going to let you roll with the debris.
coming! Clear the hall!
I'm just...
No one else can be in the... No, he cannot breathe the regular people air.
No,
Get out.
They definitely just have they have like a light that flashes, you know what I mean? Where it's like Howard's coming and everybody just like scatters and
You know what this
clears.
sounds like to me? Responsible social distancing.
Honestly.
Get out of the hallway. It's not more than 6 feet wide, and Howard's coming.
Is Howard Stern the most COVID-safe company on the planet?
Maybe that's this is a bunch of right-wing anti-maskers trying to make Howard look bad because they're sick of having to respect the social distancing rules in the hallway that they can't keep clean.
It is a Fox News article.
That might actually have no debris in it at all. This hallway. Now I just need to know more about this hallway.
We need
Chris.
photos and videos of the hallway. And how clear is it?
Now, this next thing isn't really worth a segment, Chris, but I want to briefly bring it up because it's another weird thing about a CEO. It's about Peloton's CEO, and it's a story that actually Defector, which is one of our former guests, Drew McGarry, famously worked at Gawker, Deadspin, whatever. He quit. All the Deadspin writers that bounced, they all made their own little site. It's called Defector. I don't really know much about it, but one of the dudes on there wrote about the CEO of Peloton.
Okay.
You know Peloton.
Yeah.
The really overpriced, expensive exercise bikes of which we have a much more affordable and realistic and better sponsor for called Echelon. Everybody's heard of fucking Peloton, though. I own stock in Peloton for like 6 months this year. It's very famous, especially for rich white people. So there was a story in the New York Times about how the CEO of Peloton, whose stock has had a ridiculous year as a result of people being home for the pandemic and all this shit, John Foley was talking about how he spends his Sundays.
How does he spend his Sundays?
Well, one part in particular stood out.
Okay.
Here's a quote, and this is from the Peloton CEO, John Foley. He says, 20 years ago, a colleague told me the key to your day is to hydrate as much as you can. So the first thing I do is drink 40 sips of water from my hand at the upstairs bathroom sink. It's efficient. I drink until I feel like I'm going to throw up water every day. So the CEO of Peloton, one of the larger companies in the United States, wakes up every morning, he goes over to his sink, and he drinks water from his fucking hand until he feels he's going to vomit. And that's how he that just Sundays, I guess.
Yo, this dude had to have...
Why?
This dude had to have rich parents, right? Like, there's no way... I mean, there's no way he just, like, got the money to start Peloton on his own if he's drinking water out of his hand every fucking morning.
I don't know. I feel like poor people wouldn't even understand that concept of... I mean, rich people wouldn't even understand the okay, look. First things first. Are you a sink drinker?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm all in on the sink.
Yeah, me too.
I love the sink. I don't need a filter.
Me neither.
Put the stupid fluoride water into my body. I don't care. I
Literally
do enough other shit to try to keep myself all right. I'll be all right.
90% of the water I drink is just straight out of the sink, no ice, nothing. Just room temperature, chug it down.
When you drink from the sink,
Yep.
do you cup
No.
your hand and feed yourself like you're a fucking cat?
No,
or
if
some
I'm
shit?
drinking straight from the sink...
Not even cats do this. They use their tongues like smart animals.
Yeah, if I'm drinking straight from the sink, I'm going straight, like, from the
Just
from
tilt-
the
you go
source. Tilt
head
the head.
tilt.
Yep,
Straight into the fucking mouth, man.
just like that.
Yeah, me too. I'll get several slurps, shut off the sink. Is it efficient? Nah. And that's maybe where this guy's got me beat on argument.
Well-
But I don't know. Look, what's he doing?
Well, see,
Has
there's
he got
a
a
trick to
double
it.
hand thing where he's saving the water? Because
No, I
he's
know what he-
losing water. The inefficiency here is
I know what he's doing.
blatant.
He's going like he's doing the double cup thing. And then
Yeah,
he's
but
like,
when you pull, it's still coming down. You're still losing water.
You
into
are
the
losing
sink,
water,
So he's
most
full of
definitely.
shit. It's not efficient. He's
No,
full
not
of
a-
shit. This guy's a fucking liar. This is why I sold my Peloton stock. I'm out on Peloton. I'm out on John Foley. I'm out on freaks who drink from the sink with their fucking hand.
until you feel like you're gonna throw up every morning, dude, grab a cup.
Also, 40 sips from your hand makes you feel like you're gonna puke. There's something wrong with your body, sir. Go to a physician.
Maybe hop off the Peloton and go like get outside in the world.
You have the stomach of a small cat.
How does he own a fitness and wellness brand?
40 sips of water from my hand at the upstairs bathroom sink. It's efficient. I drink until I feel like I'm going to throw up water every day. And like, and now everyone's going to ask this for the rest of your career. Are you a serial killer, sir? Are you an alien from Mars? This is an alien thing. This is like if you had a roommate and you caught them doing this every day, you'd be like, I am slightly concerned dude is in a Men in Black suit
no,
and
then-
not actually a human being.
I would no longer have a roommate.
Because you'd feel fear for your life.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very serial killer behavior.
Yeah, and frankly,
Lots of red
if
flags.
a CEO was going to be a serial killer, I would expect it to be like the CEO of Peloton.
Yeah. Kind of falls in with like the CEO of like CrossFit, kind of that type of vibe.
Yeah. Like that's going to be an egomaniacal psycho who
Yeah.
drinks water from his hand every Sunday until he feels he's going to puke as the first thing to do to start his day. Now, I will say this. He was right on one front. A lot of people, they just wake up and they drink their cup of coffee and they go, right? Well, you need to hydrate. You should get a cup of water and really should do a liquid IV from one of our sponsors. But you have to hydrate first thing in the morning. It's very important. That is a very important piece of the day. The only thing John got wrong here is everything else after knowing that.
Yeah,
You know,
he took
'cause
that and like made it to the extreme version of it that actually makes no sense
What
in
you
any way,
should
shape, or
do
form.
is like when you get that cup of coffee, like also just grab a water bottle.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you're a nice person, maybe you're not. Either way, just
Sure.
fill that thing up with water and then, drink from that periodically throughout the course of the next couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you get it finished before lunch or something like that. That'd be a normal human activity. Now, if you were an alien looking for maximum efficiency and are a total psychopath, potentially a serial killer wearing a skin suit, then you'd go to your sink and literally slip water from your hand like a fucking weirdo until you felt like you were going to puke. That's what you would do.
Maybe he's one of those lizard people that all the Qers think about, that have all the power, the suits. He's a lizard guy.
What a fucking weirdo. That will do it for today's show, but before you head out to take on the world, it's time for some very important announcements. First and foremost, you've been saddled with 3 legal obligations as a result of having listened to this entire podcast, the first of which is you must rate and review. Just give us 5 stars and write good stuff about the show. Then check that box and move on to number 2, which is to share the show with one person this week. Any one living, breathing human being who can listen to and will listen to and should and would listen to this podcast. A friend, a family member, a coworker, a neighbor. Share the show with one person, then check that box and you move on to number 3, your final legal obligation, which is to use our sponsor codes, support our sponsors who support us. Go to cutsclothing.com/RBP for 15% off the only shirt worth wearing. Go to getquip.com/RBP and get yourself a Quip right now. You'll get your first refill free. Go to NuCalm, and get 50% off your 30-day subscription of NuCalm with their money-back guarantee. And that's your third and final legal ob. Check that box and you're all done. I can call out the dogs. We don't have to see each other in court. We can all live long and prosper. If you want to follow us on social media, we're on Instagram at the Ross Bolen Podcast. We're on Twitter at Ross Bolen Pod. And we're also on Facebook.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. My name is Ross Bolen, and you can find me, Bolen. Why do I sometimes say it like that? Bolen. It's Ross Bolen.
Maybe you always just wish you were Bolen.
I'm Ross Bolen. And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at WRBOLEN, at WRBolen, also live several times a week with Coles at twitch.tv/BossRollin. Christopher, where can we follow you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at ChrisSC99. You can follow me on Twitter at Q0ULS. And you can follow me on Snapchat at Chris_Coulson. That's COULSON.
I would follow you into the gates of hell.
Hell yeah, brother.
Check out Bolen Media's television and film podcast, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, available wherever you listen to RBP. If you love TV and movies, you will love OCC, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube.com/Bolen Media. Also, right now, if you're part of the Clam fam, as we call our listenership on OCC, we are covering The Sopranos, episode by episode, starting with Season 1, Episode 1 on our Patreon for OCC at patreon.com/Oysters, Clams, Cockles. If you've never watched The Sopranos, or you love the show and want to watch it again and do a rewatch, Barrett Dudley and I are doing a companion podcast for every single episode. He has never watched. I've watched several times. They are spoiler-free and friendly to both rewatchers and first-timers. The Sopranos on OCC's Patreon page, patreon.com/Oysters, Clams, Cockles, all 2021. We're very excited. Jump in today. We're only 2 episodes deep. Easy to get caught up. Episode 3 dropping this Thursday. That will do it for RBP 358, produced by Myrriah, Gossett, and Mike Moody Garcia of Permanent Record Studios in Austin, Texas. Coles and I will be back on Monday with RBP 359. But first, we will be back on Friday, just like every Friday, on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast with another exclusive ad-free episode of RBP for members of the RBP gang, pledging their monthly support to keep the podcast alive, showing, and growing. It's just $5, a minimum of $5 monthly on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast to get an ad-free episode every Friday. Come through, support the show, get more RBP. You are not alone. Podmen get paid. Respect Mr. Park. Strength and honor. Gang, gang, gang. Christopher.
Peace be with you.
And also with you.